Hi everyone, thanks for joining in today's webinar about writing in Wordapp. My name is Jorn, I am a co-founder of Wordapp. I do apologize for my rugged look. I still rock the quarantine haircut. Today we're talking about writing in Wordapp. I'll try to keep it a bit short, especially for those of you who watch the video afterwards. This course is not so much about how to write. We expect that if you want to be a writer in Wordapp, that you know how to write a text. Instead, we'll talk about the expectations of how it works and also give you a few tips and tricks. So to start off, as a Wordapp writer, you get the biggest part of the pie in your team of people working on a task. Every task in Wordapp has 3 people working on it. A writer, who is writing the text, an editor, whose role it is to improve the text and to be a safeguard for the publisher to make sure that the text that is delivered is of perfect quality, and the publisher itself. The publisher is either the client or it can also be an elite Wordapper who does the final approval of every text. The most important thing when you deliver a text as a writer in Wordapp is that you, 1, deliver a text that is free of any language mistakes. So make sure that you proof your text for spelling, grammar, sentence structure, things like that. And second is that you follow the instructions. Now, there's different types of instructions in Wordapp. I'll talk about those a bit more in a minute. But when you're writing a text, it is extremely important that when you submit it as a writer, that it is perfect. As I said, there's 3 people working on every text, and there's also a plagiarism scan. At the bottom of the slide, I did a short overview where you can see how the process works. As a writer, you get the biggest part of the payment of each task. So it is also expected of you that you deliver and do most of the work on a task. When you submit as a writer, your text will be automatically run through a plagiarism scan called Copyscape. And if your text doesn't pass, it means that you have either on purpose or accidentally written text that is already present on the internet. You will get the task back in your task feed right away. This is not a bad thing at all. The only reason we have put it in is to make sure that text on the internet is unique, which is important. After it passes the plagiarism scan, it will go to the editor. Editors will double check your text to make sure that you have followed the instructions and that there are no spelling or grammar mistakes. And they will try their best to improve the text by reading it through and making sure that any nuances that they might know that you don't know, that those are getting into the text as well. It is not the job of the editor to play cop. They are not going to accept rewriting any spelling or grammar mistakes. For those, you will get the text directly back from the editor. When an editor approves the text, they also take over the responsibility of that text. That means that if they submit it to the publisher, the final person approving the task, that's either the client or an elite Wordapper, they cannot actually send the task back to you as a writer anymore. So it is important that they get good text that they can actually work on. A couple of tips and tricks that I want to go through. You can only work on one text at a time in Wordapp. That is to make sure that there is text available for people, but also so that you actually finish a text right away. Once you finish a text, you can start working on other text, but first you have to finish your own. You need to start the writing within 1 hour. If you don't write the text in 1 hour, get started writing in 1 hour, I have to say, your text will be automatically dropped back to the task feed where another writer can pick it up to actually complete it. Make sure you always read the instructions. There is a ton of instructions on every task, starting with the template instructions. The template instructions explain what is expected of you in each template item. Those together with the rules will give you a very good idea of what is expected in the text. Besides the template instructions, we also have general instructions, domain instructions, as well as sample texts. The sample text is usually where I start off when I'm writing a text in Wordapp. And it gives you a complete text that is previously approved when the template was built. So it gives you a very good idea of the tone of the text and what kind of information is expected in your text. Some other helpful things are the task activities. In the task activities, you can see other people that have previously worked on the task, as well as feedback that has already been provided on the task previously. Sometimes when you pick up a task from the task feed, you will get a task that has been previously worked on by someone else. By checking the task activities, you can see if there's any feedback provided already that you have to take in consideration when you're writing a text. Even if a text is already fully written, when you pick it up as a writer, it doesn't mean that the text is perfect. Make sure you check the instructions, check the task activities for feedback so that when you deliver the text, which you are responsible for then, is 100% correct. Next to the drop button in the bottom of your screen, you will also see a small drop-down window where you can flag a task. Flagging means that you send a task to a project manager, and a project manager can do a couple more things that you can do as a writer. Most importantly, they can change keywords. Sometimes it happens that a keyword is misspelled, and obviously we don't want you to submit tasks with misspelled words in them. So in that case, you can write the entire text and then flag it to ask a project manager to change the keyword. They will afterwards send it back to you so that you can resubmit it to the editor after that. On the other side, next to the submit button, there is also a drop down, and behind that you have a submit with message button. Submit with message means that you can send a note to the editor on the task. For example, to highlight some of the things in the text that you have questions about, but more importantly, to discuss any feedback that you got on the text previously. If you get a task returned from an editor, then the task is assigned to you for 24 hours. Afterwards, it is also dropped automatically so that somebody else in the task feed can pick it up. These are some very brief notes on how things work. I won't go too much into detail about how to write the text today. The reason for that is that if you are a writer in Wordapp, we expect you to know how to write. We are not a university or a school where we teach you how to write. So please do keep that in mind, that if you are a writer in Wordapp, we expect perfect text. Otherwise, you will not be working on any projects anymore. A couple of special template rules that I want to talk about. You've probably completed the lessons already in Wordapp where we talk about the template rules like word count and keyword rules. One of the things that usually stands out for new people are the match types. Match types you can see in any keyword rules, and there's 3 different types of them. One is exact. Exact means that you have to use the exact keywords, no changes in it, in a sentence, and always make sure that you use keywords naturally in a sentence. You also have keywords with a stem match type. Stem is used in certain languages where you have different prepositions, different endings to words. And what happens is that we ignore the last letter of the keywords. Even if it is multiple words, we only ignore the actual last letter of the word, and you can add different endings to it. For example, bike, bikes, or biking will all pass the template rule of a stem match keyword. We also have partial match type. Partial is used mostly in our Asian languages like Japanese, where we don't actually use spaces. So it ignores any beginning and ending to a keyword, and you can just use it in a sentence without actually having to use spaces. Another keyword rule that often comes up is select keywords. Select keywords basically means that you can choose any of the keywords listed, and you have to use the minimum amount and the maximum amount of those keywords listed there. Additionally, you will sometimes see in the instructions a link to a competitive keyword analysis. Competitive keyword analysis is an extra list of keywords that are not so much listed as in the template, but more belong to the entire website that you're writing for. And these keywords, you have to use some of those in the text naturally so that the text flows properly. As I said, I'm not so much talking about how to write the text today. That is something that I expect you to know how to do. But I do want to give a few tips on writing text for the internet. The first of which is text structure. Text structure is always important when you're writing, but especially on the internet, you see that most people don't actually read entire text. They really look at the headers and pick specific items in a text that they want to read. So your headers are very, very important. To be able to actually structure a text properly, before you start writing, you have to do your research. As a writer, you are responsible for all the research on a task. An editor is not going to do any research on a task most of the times. As I said, as a writer, you are responsible for delivering a completely finished text that should go on the website right away. The editor and the publisher are just there as safeguards for quality and also to improve the text with knowledge they have that you might not have. To be able to do research, you need to know the persona of the text, and this is always listed in a task. And even if it's not listed, you can look at the domain URL to see which website you're writing for. The persona is the typical visitor of a site. And you can imagine that if you're writing about something where the normal visitors are experts, that your tone is going to be very, very different than if you're writing for people who are completely new to a certain topic you're writing about. Do keep tone in mind so that you write a good text. Keywords, as I said, is sometimes very new for people who are excellent writers to all of a sudden have to start using keywords in a text. Keywords lead to the text that you're writing about. Writing on the internet means working with keywords for SEO, and keywords should always be used naturally in a text. So don't try to write a text and then fit in the keywords. Instead, try to work your text around the keywords that you're using. A final note about meta titles and descriptions. It's a teeny tiny part of a text that you write. Usually they're only a couple of words long, but they are one of the most important things when you're writing a new text. Meta titles and descriptions are the things that show up in search engines when people search for a certain keyword. And the goal of the meta title and description is to actually funnel people from the search engine to your website. That means that you have to be extremely clear in your metas, and you also have to give the unique selling points of your page and what it is that is actually written on your page so that writers want to visit your site and figure out what it is actually about so that they can learn more info. You can imagine that if you're searching for a new series to watch on Netflix, for example, that you are looking for things like top series or new series in a certain month. And these things will actually convince you to click. So this is something that very closely fits with the persona. And you want to make sure that your meta title and description is something that you spend some actual time on. It's not something that you write very quickly. It actually requires some thinking and writing, since you have a very limited amount of characters that you can use in a meta title and description. One of the most discussed points between editor is always meta titles and descriptions, since they are so incredibly important for a text. So do give these their time that they need so that you write a good one. Task history is something else that we have in Wordapp, and this is very, very helpful when you're writing, especially when you're writing on new projects, to actually see what changes editors and publishers have made in your task, and they will help you to improve your tasks over time. You can find the task history for any task that you have worked on from your balance. In your balance, you will see a link to the task history where you can see the different changes that have been made by editors on your task or by publishers. And these can be teeny tiny things, but it could also be that they actually write in some new information. If an editor rewrites a lot of your text, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The main thing is there that you start learning from it, and new tasks that you submit, that those improve. What is important, of course, is if you see that spelling or grammar mistakes are changed in your text by editors, there's a very, very good chance that you will not be invited anymore for any other projects. Getting access to more tasks. So within Wordapp, we usually work with invitations on projects, and those invitations will come from elite Wordappers. Elite Wordappers are the final person that works with clients. They are freelancers just like yourself. And they have actually gone through an entire course where they have learned how to write perfect text, how to manage projects in Wordapp, how to give feedback, how to build WordPress sites, how to work with Google Ads, and a lot of other aspects of working in Wordapp. So making a good impression on these guys, which you can do in the training projects that come up in your task feed, is very, very important. There's also a level system in Wordapp that dictates which tasks you can take and also how many tasks you can have pending at any given time. Usually elite Wordappers can override this on projects. So if you're invited to a project, you have nothing to do with a level system. But delivering very, very good text will give you bonus points by publishers using the I love it button that they have on a text. And if you get an I love it on a test, that means that you get extra bonus points so that you level up faster, and you will get access to more tasks in the system quicker as well. That's it for today, really. There is a lot of other courses that we're going through in the coming days and weeks. You can find all our courses on wordapp.com/courses. And the goal of these courses is to give you an indication of what you can do with Wordapp, not only for you to become a freelance writer in Wordapp and to start earning extra income with writing, but also to teach you all of the other specs to earn more money based on learning how the Wordapp system works. Wordapp is built on the premises of you being able to share projects with other people. So once you become an editor or a publisher in Wordapp or even an elite Wordapper, you will actually have a chance to earn part of an income on other people doing more work. So we have all these courses that you can go through, including editing in Wordapp, publishing, keyword research, where you learn all the skills to actually run your own content business on top of the Wordapp platform. And for people who have gone through the entire course and that actually have built WordPress websites and things like that, they can become elite Wordappers and actually start running clients that we provide to you, or you can actually bring your own clients into the Wordapp platform as well. So I highly recommend that you join some of our other courses, and you can sign up at wordapp.com/courses to see all of those. That's it for today. So very short recap. If you're a writer in Wordapp and you're writing a text, make sure that you deliver a perfect text. The editor, the publisher, they are not there to correct your text. They're there to improve your text. But it should be, the situation of the text should be that once you deliver it, it should be ready to go onto the website. So make sure you spend time on that, and then there will be plenty more tasks for you to work on other projects as well. I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope you enjoy Wordapp. And I hope to see you back in other courses soon as well, again as well. Thanks so much and have a very nice day. Bye, everyone.